आपकी ये हिम्मत, आप बयान दे रही हो, कांग्रेस के नेता बयान दे रहे हैं कि मोदी हम पर झूठे आरोप लगा रहे हैं, मोदी हम पर झूठे आरोप लगा रहे हैं। मेरे प्यारे भाइयों बहनों, क्या मोदी ने या मोदी सरकार ने एक बार भी पिछले 2 साल में हेलीकॉप्टर के भ्रष्टाचार में कभी भी कांग्रेस का नाम दिया था?
Prime Minister Modi was addressing a rally in coal-bound Kerala. Since the time Italian court pronounced its judgment in the Augusta Westland case, BJP fixed all its guns on Sonia Gandhi.
इन्वेस्टिगेशन एजेंसी अपना काम करती थी, नाम हिंदुस्तान में किसी ने नहीं दिया, ये तो नाम आया है इटली से। मुझे बताओ भाई, जवाब देना पड़ेगा आप लोगों को। आपकी कोई इटली में पहचान है क्या? जरा बताइए, पहचान है क्या?
इटली आरेंगिलुम परिचयക്കാരുണ്ടോ?
इटली में आपका कोई रिश्तेदार है क्या?
നിങ്ങളുടെ ബന്ധുക്കൾ ആരെങ്കിലും ഇറ്റലിക്കാരുണ്ടോ?
जोर से जवाब दीजिए।
ഉറക്കെ ഉറക്കെ പറയണം।
इटली में आपका कोई रिश्तेदार है क्या? इटली में आप कभी गए हैं क्या?
ഇറ്റലിയിൽ നിങ്ങൾ ആരെങ്കിലും എപ്പോഴെങ്കിലും പോയിട്ടുണ്ടോ?
इटली में आपको कोई पहचानता है क्या? इटली में कौन किसको पहचानता है सबको मालूम है। देश जानना चाहता है।
He thunders and threatens.
हेलीकॉप्टर में घुस किसने ली, पैसे किसने लिया, और उन लोगों को सजा होनी चाहिए, ये देश चाहता है।
A day later, Sonia responds at another rally in Kerala.
Yes, I was born in Italy. I came to India in 1968 as the daughter-in-law of Indira Gandhi. Yes, I have spent 48 years of my life in India. This is my home. This is my country. For all of my 48 years here, the RSS, BJP and other parties taunted me to shame me for my birth. I was born to proud and honest parents. I will never be ashamed of them.
But this didn't stop her critics and political opponents.
मित्रों, सोनिया जी कल देश प्रेम की दुहाई दे रही है। मैं सोनिया जी को बताना चाहता हूं कि सोनिया जी, आपको देश को बताने की जरूरत नहीं है। देश आपके पुत्र प्रेम को जानता है। देश नेशनल हेराल्ड के प्रति आपके प्रेम को जानता है। पूरे देश को मालूम है कि आपको किसके प्रति भाव है।
मैं तो समझता हूं कि सोनिया गांधी, अहमद पटेल, मनमोहन सिंह, ऑस्कर फर्नांडिस, इनको बुलाना चाहिए और पूछना चाहिए आपको क्या पता है इसके बारे, जिसको जैसे कहते हैं विटनेस, वो प्रक्रिया शुरू होनी चाहिए।
This is not the first time that Sonia Gandhi, widow of Rajiv Gandhi and current Congress president, has been attacked politically and personally. Like all other previous instances, it is her birth nationality that is being targeted. The fact that she was an Italian 40 years ago, before she married Nehru-Gandhi family scion Rajiv, is what her political opponents always criticize her with. They ignore the truth that Sonia Gandhi is a bona fide Indian citizen, irrespective of what nationality she was at birth. And law aside, if one goes by tradition, then too, with Sonia having been married in the Hindu tradition, she took on the Gotra, that is the identity of her husband. And so, Sonia Mano became Sonia Gandhi, an Indian by marriage. And over almost half a century now, Sonia has been the quintessential daughter-in-law of a family that cannot be delinked from Indian politics.
Indira Gandhi's Safdarjung Road house holds a very special place in Sonia Gandhi's heart. This is the house she came to after marrying Rajiv Gandhi in 1968. She lived here with Rajiv Gandhi. This is the house where both her children, Priyanka as well as Rahul Gandhi, were born and brought up. Unfortunately, this is also the house where her mother-in-law, the mighty Indira Gandhi, was brutally assassinated. It holds great memories, bittersweet memories for Sonia Gandhi. Every week, almost every week, she drives down to this place, spends about an hour just reliving memories, going through the artifacts here. For Sonia Gandhi, this indeed is a very special place.
Very little is known of Sonia's early life. Born in the town of Orobasano near Turin to a building contractor and his wife, Sonia Maino was raised in a traditional Roman Catholic household.
It can hardly be said that Sonia Gandhi was born in a prosperous household. She was born in 1946, which of course came at the end of the Second World War. That was a time when her native region was reeling under economic stagnation. There was depression on the whole. It was then that her father Stefano Maino decided that it was time to move west, and they came very close to Turin. And this is the place where she spent a lot of time. They built this house, which is right behind me. Turin was a place, or Torino as it is called in the local language, was a place of economic boom.
Her mother and two sisters still live in Orobasano. In 1964, she went to Cambridge to study English at a language school. At the age of 18, her life changed forever when she met her future husband, Rajiv Gandhi, elder son of Indira Gandhi. He was studying engineering at the university. They met at Varsity Restaurant, and 2 months later, Rajiv wrote to his mother about Sonia as his choice as a life partner.
सोनिया से मैं पहली बार कैम्ब्रिज में मिला था और पहली बार जब मैंने उन्हें देखा ही था तो मुझे लग गया था कि ये ही ठीक लड़की है मेरे लिए.
I came here because I was madly in love with my husband.
Notwithstanding the early years of romance in Cambridge, United Kingdom, it was never going to be an easy task, the coming together of Sonia Maino and Rajiv Gandhi. The task was of course made tougher by the insistence of Sonia's father Stefano against the marriage.
4 years of courtship followed. Sonia came to India 2 weeks before the scheduled date of her marriage and lived with Gandhi family friend the Bachchans. Amitabh's mother Teji Bachchan took it upon herself to groom her. The couple married in 1968 and she moved into the house of her mother-in-law and then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. Over the years, Sonia became her mother-in-law's favorite.
मेरी माँ और सोनिया के बीच में एक बहुत गहरा संबंध था. एक तरह से सोनिया उनके लिए एक पुत्री जैसी थी. हो सकता है कि 2 पुत्र थे और एक लड़की नहीं हुई थी तो एक ख्वाहिश पूरी हो गई. इंदिरा जी ने हर तरह से सोनिया को अपने दिल में ले लिया था और बहुत प्यार करती थी वो सोनिया से.
If someone was unwell or unhappy, she would immediately notice and she would immediately do something about it, perhaps by jotting down 2 lines. For instance, I remember when I got married, my mother came to the wedding and she stayed for about a month, and then when she left, obviously that was my last my mother was going, so obviously it was quite a sad moment for me, and my mother-in-law sent me a little note. Hi Sonia, this is just to tell you that we all love you, and that totally melted me.
Initially, Sonia disliked Indian food and clothes, but she spent the 1970s becoming steeped in Indian culture.
When I came to this family and married, I was a complete Anari on what was going to come.
They were the couple who lived in the shadows of illustrious Prime Minister Indira Gandhi and her political successor Sanjay Gandhi. Rajiv was content with his job with Indian Airlines, while Sonia looked after his home. Rahul and Priyanka were born. They became their grandmother's main attraction back home. Away from public glare, Sonia and Rajiv lived a normal, happy family life.
Rajiv Gandhi lived in this part of the house with his wife. This is where the transformation, her transformation from Sonia Maino to Sonia Gandhi truly began. She lived with Rajiv Gandhi and her children, but also Mrs. Indira Gandhi was not just her mother-in-law, she was also her mentor. She taught her the finer nuances of Indian traditions. She taught her how to cook, how to dress like an Indian. And so much so that now it's Sonia Gandhi these days who reminds the children about Basant Panchami, about Navroz. So every Navroz, there's Kashmiri rice cooked. She ensures that yellow Kashmiri rice is cooked. On Basant Panchami, she'll make it a point to remind the children. She'll even send a yellow flower to Priyanka Gandhi's house to ensure that not just Priyanka but even the grandchildren are steeped in the Indian tradition. Sonia Gandhi's education and life as an Indian began in this very house.
Sonia and Rajiv's world was rocked out of its tranquility with the death of Sanjay Gandhi in 1980. Sanjay was his mother's political aide, shadow and counsellor. Indira looked at Rajiv to fill in the void. A devout family man responding to his mother's call, Rajiv became a reluctant politician. In 1984, Indira Gandhi was assassinated by her Sikh bodyguards. Sonia was propelled into the forefront of the Indian political scene as Rajiv was picked as the successor to the Nehru-Gandhi crown.
भारत आकर बिल्कुल हिंदुस्तानी रीति रिवाज ले लिए हैं और एक तरह से पूरे तरह से हिंदुस्तानी बन गई है, भारतीय बन गई। खाली कपड़े पहनने में नहीं है, उससे ज़्यादा उनके सोच विचार में है, उनके हर चीज़ में है। बहुत चीज़ें उन्होंने इंदिरा जी से सीखी थी, हमारे हिंदुस्तानी रीति रिवाज के बारे में, और बहुत अच्छी तरह वो सीख गई हैं। कई चीज़ों में तो उनकी मुझसे भी ज़्यादा जानकारी है। इंदिरा जी से जो इंदिरा जी ने सिखाया था उन्हें।
Rajiv became Prime Minister and Sonia followed him like his shadow. The demure foreigner turned Indian daughter-in-law travelled wide and far beside her husband, matching him in every step. Her head covered in her pallu, she reminded many of her mother-in-law. Walking straight and fast down the remote village alleys, she was the perfect partner to her Prime Minister husband. They were young and they were beautiful. They looked gracious on the world platform representing India. But 7 years later, tragedy struck the Gandhi family once again. Husband Rajiv Gandhi was killed by a LTTE suicide bomber. Sonia and her children, Rahul and Priyanka, were consumed with grief. Sonia resisted Congress attempts to persuade her to step into Rajiv's shoes and eschewed politics for several years before taking the plunge and lifting the party to power.
After her marriage, Sonia Gandhi's world revolved around Rajiv Gandhi. They absolutely adored each other. He was the center of her universe. In all the years that they were married, they never spent more than 12 days apart from each other. at a stretch. They even made a joint will. They wanted to be cremated together. And then her world came crashing down when Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated.
Sonia Gandhi took over from Sitaram Kesri in April 1998. The Congress was at its lowest ebb. Leaders were leaving it in droves. A self-confessed reluctant debutante, her debut was far from spectacular. She lurched from one mistake to the other, the first being after she had pulled down the Vajpayee government in tandem with Jayalalitha. She boasted outside Rashtrapati Bhavan that the Congress party had the support of 272 members to form the government. Subsequent events proved the claim to be hollow. Soon after that, on 15th March 1999, there was a rebellion in her party. Sharad Pawar, Purno Sangma and Tariq Anwar raised the foreigner issue. She resigned as party president but later took back her decision following tremendous pressure from the rank and file, and the three dissenters were expelled from the party. In the elections that followed, the Congress was routed and ended up with its worst electoral performance ever till then, winning only 114 Lok Sabha seats. She also used the period to develop cross-party linkages and personal rapport with other opposition leaders like Harkishan Singh Surjeet, Jyoti Basu, Somnath Chatterjee, A.B. Bardhan and Lalu Yadav. As time passed, she grew in confidence. She began vigorously campaigning across the length and breadth of the country. The period also witnessed an upswing in the Congress party's fortunes. When she took over as president, the Congress ruled only 5 states. In 2000, the number of states with Congress government went up to 9. In 2001, the Congress number went up to 11. And in 2002, it went to 14 states. Sonia also realized that the only way of unseating the NDA was by striking alliances across the country. She first worked internally to bring her party around to accepting the idea of working in a coalition, and then began assiduously wooing and building linkages with opposition leaders. She reached out to parties like the DMK in Tamil Nadu and Paswan in Bihar. She built a personal rapport and in the process exhibited a willingness to put aside her personal angularities for the sake of her party. Results followed in 2004 elections. Congress Alliance got the mandate to form the government, and Sonia stunned all by shunning the Prime Ministership.
मेरा लक्ष्य प्रधानमंत्री का पद नहीं है। मेरे सामने हमेशा स्पष्ट था कि अगर कभी ऐसी स्थिति पैदा हुई जैसी आज, तो मैं अपनी आत्मा की आवाज के मुताबिक चलूंगी।
राजनीति में आना नहीं चाहती थी पहले, और जब आई तब उनका लक्ष्य कभी ये नहीं था कि पद हासिल करना है या सत्ता हासिल करनी है, कभी नहीं रहा ये लक्ष्य।
With Sonia Gandhi as the president of Congress Party and the chairperson of the UPA, the Congress-led alliance chose Dr. Manmohan Singh as the Prime Minister.
Country will be safe in Dr. Manmohan Singh's hands.
Sonia Gandhi was opposed to the idea of Rajiv Gandhi joining politics. And when it came to him becoming Prime Minister, she vehemently opposed the idea. She begged, pleaded, even went down on her knees to try and dissuade him from becoming the Prime Minister, because she was afraid. She was afraid that Rajiv Gandhi would meet the same fate as his mother. Unfortunately, history repeated itself, and her worst fears came true. For the first few years after Rajiv Gandhi's assassination, Sonia Gandhi stoutly resisted calls for her to join politics, but ultimately gave in out of her love for her husband and the great sense of duty towards her party and the country. And this perhaps is what keeps her going in the face of this vehement vilification campaign and personal attacks.
In 2004, a National Advisory Council was set up to advise and guide the Congress-led UPA government. The NAC was headed by Sonia Gandhi as its chairperson, and this super cabinet, more often than not, was instrumental in dictating public policy. The BJP pointed out that it was constituted to give Sonia Gandhi an official status so that she could interfere in the work of the government. The change, vehemently opposed by the Congress, stating that institutional arrangements had to be made for sustained consultations between the party and the government. It was argued that since it was on Sonia's name that the Congress won the elections, Sonia Gandhi, by heading the NAC, lent the political weight that was needed for the government to keep those promises. While the NAC under Sonia Gandhi did not interfere on a daily basis, it did set the political agenda of the UPA. But it was not all easy going for Sonia. Old enmities took public platform when in September 2004, Samajwadi MP Jaya Bachchan targeted the Congress for its stepmotherly treatment to UP and accused the Gandhi family of betrayal. The reference to Sonia was very obvious. In February 2006, it was payback time. Election Commissioner Naveen Chawla, a man said to be very close to 10 Janpath, raised the issue of MP Jaya Bachchan holding on to an office of profit. Jaya was forced out, but by then the finger had started pointing at every MP who held another official post outside the parliament. No finger was sharper than that which pointed at Sonia Gandhi, Member of Parliament and also chairperson of the National Advisory Council. Sonia resigned from both the membership of the Parliament as well as the National Advisory Council. Her timing caught her political opponents on the wrong foot. Barely a month and a half later, Sonia was back in Parliament, having won back her Rai Bareli seat with a record margin. But it was only after the strong 2009 general election victory for the UPA that Sonia Gandhi returned in 2010 as the chairperson of the National Advisory Council. It was Sonia Gandhi's influence that pushed UPA to pass social schemes like Narega, RTI, Prevention of Domestic Violence and Forest Rights Bills. In the years 2004 to 2014, it was Sonia Gandhi who almost single-handedly influenced policy. So when history judges the UPA years, it will have to be Sonia who will have to take responsibility for all that transpired. All that was good and all that went wrong with the Manmohan Singh government.
The first few years after Sonia Gandhi joined politics were very difficult for her. She had to learn the language, had to get used to giving speeches, get used to people. All this was new to her. But she plodded on. In fact, the first time when she was asked to deliver a speech, a campaign speech at the Ramlila grounds, while she was driving from 10 Janpath to Ramlila grounds, she suddenly became very nervous. She was very uncertain. The car had to slow down and slowly circle around India Gate several times just to give her time to calm down, to soothe her nerves. The children were by her side. They gave her a lot of confidence, and ultimately she went and delivered her speech. Sonia Gandhi has come so far, but she plans to go no farther than this land, because this is her land and this is her home. Thank you for watching India Today.